Good morning and welcome to the final event of the Bosco Wave project. We are here after 2 years and a half of starting the project and we are very happy to have you all with us today. My name is Marta Pavisa. I'm International Relations Coordinator at the SMX province together with Marta Iglesias, who's also present here today. And I'm going to introduce our first speakers for the day. Right next to me we have Jordi Yashar. He is the SMX Provincial Delegate for Youth Pastoral, and he's going to give us a welcome. After him, Miguel Canino, SMX Provincial School Coordinator, and also Headmaster of Salesianos Trinidad, the school that we have right next to us. And last but not least, Don Fabrizio Bonalume. He's the Executive Director of the CNOSFAB Federation in Italy.
Buenos días, bienvenidos, bienvenidas a esta vuestra casa. En nombre del inspector, de Ángela Surmendi, que en estos momentos está viajando hacia Granada, pues os doy la bienvenida y desearos pues, que tengáis una buena jornada de finalización de este trabajo tan interesante que habéis estado realizando. En nuestra inspectoría la formación profesional tiene un peso muy importante y precisamente estos días que estábamos reunidos, estaban reunidos los inspectores de la zona mediterránea, somos muy conscientes de este trabajo en red europeo que hay que hacer y que hay que potenciar y continuar. Desearos una buena jornada, un buen trabajo y que todo lo que necesitéis, pues aquí estamos a vuestra disposición.
Bueno, pues yo me uno a esta bienvenida también que Jordi hacía en nombre del inspector y también uno el sentimiento, yo creo que de agradecimiento, ¿no?, por toda la experiencia que ha supuesto y ha significado estos años de trabajo en red y de preocupación también y ocupación por este proyecto importante para cada uno de nosotros, de las distintas entidades. En concreto yo hablo más de la experiencia que hemos vivido en SMX, que creo que se puede equiparar a otras. Y para nosotros, en la situación en la que vivíamos de unificación y nueva inspectoría, o sea, nueva entidad después de otras entidades, un proyecto de estas características, con una visión global, con unas perspectivas que nos han ayudado a impulsar y a comprender mejor todos los proyectos europeos desde esta perspectiva de coordinación y de visión general, no solamente para nosotros, sino también europea, pues ha sido un paso importante. Por eso digo que desde este primer momento yo creo que unido a esta bienvenida es el agradecimiento, ya que estamos en el momento final de todo el trabajo realizado, del esfuerzo realizado y en concreto también de los frutos que seguro, como hoy veremos, pues el proyecto ha dado y las perspectivas que se abren para todos y también para cada uno de nosotros, en concreto para nuestra provincia religiosa, nuestra inspectoría SMX. Muchas gracias y de nuevo bienvenidos a nuestra casa, que es la casa de todos, que es vuestra casa.
Buongiorno a tutti, grazie per essere qui in presenza o attraverso la direzione streaming. La presenza salesiana è fiorita in tutto il mondo grazie all'intuizione che Don Bosco ha avuto riguardo l'importanza della formazione professionale. Oggi diventa fondamentale raccontare cosa è la vera formazione professionale, quella che già Don Bosco aveva realizzato. Sono passati 170 anni dalla firma del primo contratto di apprendizaggio da parte di Don Bosco e noi siamo chiamati a richiamare a gran voce in Europa i valori che il nostro padre ha voluto sottoscrivere. L'istruzione e la formazione professionale salesiana sono ben note da tempo in Europa. Sono universalmente riconosciute dagli stakeholder nazionali ed europei come un marchio di qualità, grazie alle organizzazioni che nello spirito di Don Bosco forniscono a livello nazionale una formazione che fa crescere la persona in un mondo di valori umani. Un lavoro di qualità ai giovani, anche i più vulnerabili. Per questo la Federazione CNOSFAB ha puntato a creare le sinergie per la creazione di un network che includesse le reti di formazione professionale salesiana in Europa. Ringraziamo nuovamente per la collaborazione le reti salesiane che hanno partecipato attivamente alle attività di questo progetto, con l'obiettivo comune di rinforzare la propria rete a livello nazionale e consolidare la nostra presenza salesiana in Europa. La creazione della rete di DB Tech Europe rappresenta la conferma della presenza salesiana in Europa e l'occasione per poter migliorare ulteriormente la qualità dei servizi di formazione professionale che offriamo, grazie alla collaborazione tra le realtà salesiane e europee. In quest'ottica il DB Wave è stato fondamentale perché per 3 anni ci ha permesso dal punto di vista istituzionale di confrontarci e di migliorare la capacità dei network di rappresentare l'IFP salesiana sia a livello nazionale che in Europa. Dal punto di vista tecnico ci ha permesso di costruire insieme percorsi di capacity building, strumenti condivisi, standard, metodologie e approcci comuni che potranno essere la base comune su cui verrà costruito il DB Tech Europe, ma già da ora sono strumenti in grado di aiutarci a migliorare la qualità e l'inclusività dei nostri centri di formazione professionale, nei quali anche oggi sono presenti 62.240 studenti, 5.500 formatori in 19 paesi europei. Grazie ancora a tutti.
Thank you all for this warm welcome. Okay, now I would like to welcome to the table Ivan Toscano and Angelica Progetti, project managers for CNOSFAP Italy. They are going to present the DB project, the general objectives of the project, and the impact achieved.
Okay, good morning everyone. Thank you for being here. I introduce myself. I'm Angelica Progetti from the National Office of CNOSFAP Federation, and together with Ivan and my colleague Benedetta, we work in the European Project Department of the National Office in Rome. Just a couple of words. I'm very excited and also a little bit nervous of being here today because, you know, we are at the end of a long journey that we have all made together after 30 months. We are here today to present the results and the fruits of all the work that we have done, the results of the fruitful cooperation of our partners. So let me introduce the partnership. Erasmus Plus KA3 project, DB Wave, is the first project co-funded by the European Commission, which gathers 7 different networks of Salesian vet providers. We have, in the specific, CNOSFAP Federation as lead applicant, then 2 Spanish vet networks of vet providers, like we have Fundación Tec Don Bosco, and of course, Inspectoría Salesia de María Auxiliadora. Thanks again for hosting us, for arranging everything. The French network, Association Maison Don Bosco, the German network, the Hungarian network, the Flemish one, DBOC, and last but not least, the other partner is Don Bosco International, which represents the Salesian congregation of Don Bosco and all the international institutions and organizations. But what were and what are the goals of the DB Wave project? First of all, we all are Salesians, so the main goal was the consolidation of the presence of Salesian VET in Europe, the increase of Salesian VET networks' relevance in Europe, and also the development of our internationalization strategies. For this purpose, we have carried out 14 peer reviews, 7 initial and 7 final, and using the peer review methodology, we have assessed and analyzed our internationalization actions and goals in a very informal way. This has given us the opportunity of drafting, if it wasn't already existing, or enhancing and improving our national internationalization strategy, which will allow to create a common internationalization strategy of the future DB Tech Europe, the European network, that will be presented later more in detail by Ivan. Another goal of the project was the technical capacity building of our key VET staff. For doing this, we have taken part in many frontal trainings, but most especially, we have carried out 5 different peer learnings. Through peer exchanges, we had the opportunity of exchange good practices and all our areas of expertise on 4 different topics: European policies and tools, key competencies for teachers and trainers, job service offices, and digitalization. Another goal was the creation of shared VET tools and provisions that could be at disposal of all the network. So we have cooperated, and yes, as I said again, we have exchanged good practices in order to develop, pilot, and scale up VET tools and provisions in 5 strategic areas: mobility, job service offices, tracking credit system, key and transversal competencies, mentoring methodologies for vulnerable youth. And 5 tools have been created on these 5 topics that will be presented later. Last but not least, the 4th goal was the creation of structured framework of cooperation at European level. So the partners have engaged in at national and European level in mainstreaming quality and inclusive VET provisions into formal and non-formal settings. So we have shared quality standards, methodologies, common approaches, and in particular, memorandum of understandings for multi-actor joint integrated services have been signed. Regarding this last point, I'd like to mention that a total of 58 memorandum of understandings have been signed by stakeholders who wanted to join the DB Wave community, who wanted to enter in contact with us if they were not already in contact, or have access to all the materials, the tools, the VET provisions that we have developed, and yes, enter this community of interest, which is the basis of the future DB Tech Europe that, of course, we will talk about it later. I will take the chance of this slide to present, to introduce to you also the official website that we have created, which can be found at the address dbtecheurope.eu. Here you can find all the information related to the project, especially in the stakeholders section under the community part. You can find a list of all the most relevant European and international stakeholders who have signed a memorandum of understanding with us. But if you see in the home page of the website, there's a map, the map of Europe. The countries of the partners of the DB Wave Europe, the project, are highlighted. If you click on one of all of these countries highlighted, you can see and consult all the stakeholders that have signed the memorandum of understanding with that given partner. So, and that you can find a total of 58 more you signed. But if you register and log in, you find the button on the top of the website on right. There's a free access, either for free you can download them, you find the abstract description of the course, and yes, and it's easy to be downloaded. In the other section that I have already mentioned, the tools are described. They are presented in general, so we have the 5 tools: Salesian Mobility Charter, a database to monitor the tracking success of Salesian vet students in Europe, guidelines to create or to enhance or standardize job service offices in your vet realities, mentoring methodology for disadvantaged youth, or a digital tool for assessing the soft skills of students at the beginning and at the end of a work-based learning experience. On the website, of course, if you are registered, you can download, if it's a PDF document, like in the case of guidelines, or you have free access to the database or to another link if it's a digital tool. I have used in particular this extract from the brochure that you find in your bag because it clearly shows the involvement during the creation and the piloting of the target audience. So many people have been involved, especially students, during the piloting phase, but we will go more into the detail when we will present the tools. I just want to say that for the creation of these tools, at the beginning of the project, the partnership has divided into 5 different working groups. Every working group was managed and coordinated by a thematic activity leader who was in charge of monitoring of the process and arranging the online meetings, and so follow all the creation of the tools. We will invite later all the thematic activity leaders here. But I just would like to specify one thing. All of these resources, material, and tools that we have developed, of course, are not just at disposal of the DB Wave partners. These want to be valuable resources for all the Salesians in Europe. And with this infographic, we give a clear idea of the Salesian presence in Europe of Salesian vet centers. We are talking about 196 vet centers in Europe, in 19 European countries, more than 62,000 vet students, and more than 5,000 vet staff. Of course, even we'll go into detail regarding this topic later, because we will be discussing a lot regarding the creation of the future Salesian vet network, the European Salesian network, which is called Don Bosco Tech Europe. But I don't want to steal more of your time. We have a lot to discuss. So I would like to invite the thematic activity leaders here to describe and present the tools. So please welcome Merce, Piero, Mate, and Tanya to present everything. Thank you. Okay, I have called them all together, but maybe it's better if you come one by one. So please, Merce, if you want to start, thank you.
I
I will take advantage of these few seconds while they get ready to thank as well all the technical team that is working with us and that is making today's event possible. And in particular, all the sound technicians that are helping us also stream and broadcast and record the event that is available right now on YouTube and is going to be available later on as well when the event is finished. And thank you as well to our teams of interpreters.
Buenos días a todos los presentes en este encuentro final del DB Wave. Yo he estado participando en la parte de la herramienta del seguimiento de recién graduados y voy a explicar un poquito los objetivos de la herramienta, lo que pretende realizar, la forma de actuar para que puedan entrar pues tanto los centros educativos como también los alumnos y todas las instituciones externas y puedan pues de alguna manera hacer uso de la información que en esta herramienta se ha podido recopilar en todo este tiempo. En primer lugar, comentar que esta herramienta es capaz y permite hacer un seguimiento de los recién graduados de todas nuestras redes de colegios salesianos europeos. Permite pues realizar ese seguimiento de la trayectoria y también de analizar el rendimiento de los recién graduados, sobre todo también recopilando información de su paso y de su estancia por el centro y por el centro de trabajo también. Bien, los objetivos principales de la herramienta es poder proporcionar pues, una evaluación cualitativa de la oferta de formación profesional salesiana y su eficacia en términos de competencias adquiridas por los alumnos y por su inserción laboral. Esta herramienta está dividida en dos partes. La parte que permite acceder a las estadísticas que tienen que rellenar los centros educativos y otra segunda parte, la que llamamos éxito formativo, que es a la que acceden el alumnado cuando finaliza su estancia en el centro educativo. Bien, el formato utilizado en el desarrollo de esta herramienta permite recopilar estos datos estadísticos de las escuelas salesianas que forman parte de la red europea, creando pues, una base de datos que puede ser consultada, como hemos mencionado anteriormente, por cualquier socio y por los centros, lógicamente, integrados en estas redes salesianas. Esta herramienta también está preparada y diseñada en todos los lenguajes de nuestros centros educativos, de los diferentes países que participan en esta herramienta y que pueden consultarla. Está también integrada en lo que es el espacio web de DB Wave, con el libre acceso para todos los que puedan consultar estadísticas. Y da de alguna manera pues, una imagen especial e importante de esa presencia salesiana en Europa, pues conociendo la calidad de nuestros centros educativos y también de las ofertas de formación profesional que realizamos en toda Europa. Durante todo este proceso hicimos, o se dividió en dos fases, una fase de testeo donde participaron 407 estudiantes que respondieron a los cuestionarios y durante la segunda fase, que fue en este año, participaron 78 centros de formación profesional repartidos en los países que veis indicados y 5.055 estudiantes que completaron el cuestionario de éxito formativo. Bien, para conocer un poquito más la herramienta, comentar que permite acceder a la herramienta a través de tres modalidades. La modalidad de los recién graduados, que ahora pasaremos a explicarla pues un poquito de cómo va y cómo funciona. La parte de los colegios, que permite también acceder a un cuestionario particular para los centros educativos. Y la parte de las instituciones externas, que es muy parecida a la de los colegios, pero con un correo electrónico y un password especial para que tengan libre acceso también a la información. Bueno, pues vamos a ver en concreto o en particular el acceso a la herramienta de los recién graduados. Pueden acceder a través de un código QR o de un enlace web que el centro educativo puede facilitar al final de su formación en el centro educativo. Así podemos contemplar los datos que nos rellena el alumno. Puede ser elegido en los diferentes idiomas en los que está prevista la herramienta y es un cuestionario pues, donde el alumno, la alumna, especifica una serie de preguntas, responde a una serie de preguntas, elige, vamos a rellenar alguna de ellas, elige el país de procedencia, elige la región, marca la ciudad, elige el centro educativo, porque todo ha sido contemplado previamente en diferentes bases de datos para tener... Ay, no. Perdón, es que no se visualiza ahí, ¿verdad? Pensé que estaba... Ah, ¿ahora? ¿No? No, que no se ve la presentación. No sé. Vamos a ver. Es que a veces es el problema. Lo siento, es cuestión del directo a veces. Bueno, pues esta sería la herramienta que tendría el recién graduado al finalizar su periodo escolar en el centro educativo. Él tendría que rellenar pues, los diferentes apartados que aquí se están pidiendo. Todo esto es o está integrado porque previamente hemos, de alguna manera, rellenado el contenido de la base de datos con toda la información de nuestros centros educativos. El alumno elige pues, hasta el punto concreto que puede rellenar y va respondiendo a cada una de las preguntas que se están realizando, relativas a su paso por el centro educativo, el sector profesional al cual pertenecen, a la realización de prácticas tanto en el país de origen como fuera de España, aspectos concretos relativos a qué es lo que está haciendo en esos momentos, si ha encontrado trabajo, si no estudia, si no trabaja, si continúa estudiando. Una serie de preguntas que algunas llevan a subpreguntas para poder tener la totalidad de información que necesitamos y que va a estar disponible para todos los centros educativos y para cualquier institución externa que quiera comprobar, que quiera analizar los datos que disponen las redes salesianas europeas. Bien, este es el apartado de los estudiantes. Vamos a pasar, bueno, como habéis visto, no lo he recalcado, pero existe la posibilidad de elegir el idioma para realizar esta encuesta y el acceso es libre a través de un código QR o de una dirección URL de Internet para poder acceder. Si accedemos a la parte de los centros educativos, nos encontramos con una página un tanto diferente a la del alumnado, porque aquí sí que requiere de una identificación. Los centros escolares, al finalizar también el curso escolar, pueden rellenar este apartado, este cuestionario. Vamos a tratar de entrar con un usuario y una contraseña. Y una vez dentro, los centros educativos pueden optar por, lo primero, conocer todos los centros que participan de esta herramienta, toda la información relativa a los diferentes colegios que participamos, los sectores que cada uno de ellos contempla, información de los contactos, por si en un momento determinado pues hay que establecer algún tipo de vínculo con el colegio o el centro que se está viendo aquí. Vamos a ver si podemos ir atrás, que no tengo la visión. Bueno. Podemos consultar también todos los sectores profesionales de los centros educativos. Podemos entrar directamente a la estadística, a la recopilación de datos estadísticos, con lo cual el centro educativo tendría que rellenar el curso escolar. Ahora, por ejemplo, nos va a tocar rellenar la información del curso 2021-2022. Entraríamos con esta referencia, empezaríamos la estadística y aquí iríamos completando las referencias del número de estudiantes que tenemos de cada uno de los sectores que han finalizado y las empresas, las compañías que trabajan con nosotros en la búsqueda de empresas. Si nosotros lo que hacemos es continuar esta estadística, nos encontramos también con una serie de preguntas relativas al curso escolar que podemos ir rellenando, se van actualizando, se van guardando en la base de datos. Todas ellas, o algunas de ellas, tienen subpreguntas para poder completar mucho más la información. Con esto sabemos qué centros educativos trabajan con menores, con adultos, quiénes tienen agencias de empleo, quiénes trabajan con categorías pues especiales, ¿no?, protegidas, quiénes forman o qué colegios tienen proyectos europeos. En fin, una serie de datos relevantes para los centros educativos que obtenemos con esta herramienta. Al finalizar, pues regresamos a la parte anterior y otro de los aspectos importantes y relevantes para todos los centros educativos y también para las instituciones externas es la parte de obtención de estadísticas. Todo lo almacenado, todo lo guardado por parte del alumnado, por parte de los recién graduados y por parte de los centros, se puede consultar, se pueden hacer búsquedas y se puede exportar la información para su posterior explotación y obtención de cualquier tipo de estadística que necesitemos. Si nosotros nos metemos en el apartado de colegios e indicamos, por ejemplo, el país de Italia y dejamos vacío el resto de filtros, nos van a salir información de todos los colegios italianos. De acuerdo, con la posibilidad, me está dejando moverme, pero con la posibilidad de poder ver información referida a estos centros. Igualmente de sectores, si yo busco Italia, pues me van a salir todos los colegios y al lado todos los sectores que este centro educativo tiene, ¿vale? Tengo problemas para ir hacia la derecha, pero bueno, a la derecha de esta búsqueda aparecerían pues esas referencias de los sectores con los que trabaja. Bien, si nos vamos a la parte de los estudiantes, esta parte es muy importante porque podemos obtener mucha información acerca de todos los datos que los estudiantes, los recién graduados, han introducido en esta herramienta al finalizar su paso por el centro educativo. Igualmente, cualquier país que indiquemos o cualquier referencia, podemos obtener información de todas las encuestas realizadas en este país por el alumnado y todas las respuestas que han dado a todas las preguntas que se han realizado, con la posibilidad de poder, repito, exportar esta información. En la parte de abajo siempre vamos a tener un apartado para exportar esta información que estamos viendo aquí a una hoja Excel y luego poder realizar un tratamiento de la misma. Igualmente, a un primer vistazo, esta referencia nos permite ver en Hungría, por ejemplo, cuántas mujeres, cuántos hombres han rellenado esta encuesta como recién graduados y tener a simple vista de cada una de las especialidades y sectores profesionales la cantidad de alumnos que existen. Este apartado es potente y es importante para cualquier empresa que quiera buscar recién graduados, porque puede ir al país, puede localizar una ciudad en concreto, como vamos a ver ahora, y podría ver los diferentes sectores profesionales con los que trabaja y la cantidad de graduados que han finalizado de cada una de ellas. Si nos vamos, por ejemplo, a Italia, por poner otro ejemplo, especificamos una ciudad concreta, pues si a simple vista vemos las estadísticas, podemos ver, repito, cantidad de mujeres, de hombres y también las diferentes especialidades con las que se trabaja en los centros formativos de esta ciudad. Y repito que es una herramienta potente para luego poder sacar estadísticas dijéramos, de todo el contexto de nuestras redes salesianas europeas y de cómo actúan los recién graduados, cómo continúan su trayectoria profesional y todas las actuaciones que podemos apreciar de ellos. Esto es en general lo que nos va a facilitar la herramienta y por último, a ver si puedo presentar, pues derivado de esas hojas Excel que podemos obtener con la información de los recién graduados y la información de los colegios, pues podemos obtener estadísticas importantes acerca de las categorías protegidas de los centros educativos, de los proyectos europeos en los que se pueden trabajar, de los centros que tienen departamentos de escuela-empresa, oficinas de trabajo y, por ejemplo, pues saber el porcentaje de abandono que pueden tener los centros educativos. Igualmente, podríamos tener cantidad de los niveles de satisfacción del alumnado a la hora de realizar esa encuesta que ha obtenido durante ese tiempo que ha pasado por nuestros centros salesianos. E igualmente podríamos obtener pues, cualquier otra información que nosotros decidiéramos tener de todos esos datos recopilados del alumnado. Por tanto, nos da una perspectiva general de cómo está la formación profesional en nuestros centros educativos y de la calidad del éxito formativo de los recién graduados. Pues hasta aquí mi presentación. El deseo es que esta herramienta se vaya utilizando año tras año, sobre todo por los centros educativos y por los recién graduados, y que podamos tener pues, una estadística pues, mucho más extensa año tras año de todo nuestro alumnado. Decir que ha sido un placer participar en este proyecto, gracias a vosotros, a todos los colaboradores, a todos los que han facilitado que esto ahora mismo sea una realidad y que sobre todo da una perspectiva de la calidad de la formación profesional y del alumnado que tenemos de los recién graduados en toda nuestra área de Europa. Muchas gracias.
Now we have Piero, the thematic activity leader of the working group Job Service Offices, who will introduce to us the guidelines I mentioned before. By the way, especially for those who are not here, we have already published this document, the guidelines. We are personally very proud of that, but now Piero will go into the detail.
Yes, thank you, Angelica. Let me... Okay, good morning, everyone. I am glad to be here in the DB Wave final event, and I would like to thank the Sevilla and Salesian House for the hospitality. Es un placer estar aquí en una casa así antigua y pasar este tiempo con ustedes. Today, I will share with you and present one task of the DB Wave project the job service offices of the Salesian VAT centers, so an operational guideline, quality standards and tools for European VAT providers. Who's the speaker? Always me, Piero Fabris, 32 years old. I'm the JSO country manager for CNOSFAP Italia. In Italy, we have actually 42 job service offices operating in all the nation. The developing team is a real European team because we developed the handbook and with the guidelines with a team of Italians and French Salesian colleagues, so the friends of CNOSFAP and AMDB. But however, almost all the European partners were involved in the construction of the quality standards. So we can tell surely that is a fully European team. The handbook is structured with 4 chapters of operational guidelines. We have the first chapter with the job service offices of the Salesian VAT centers, a European and international perspective. What does it mean? The history of Don Bosco and the relation between Salesians and the job market since the beginnings. And all the backgrounds where the needs of developing the job service office was born and raised. All the analysis about clients, relations, and internal and external stakeholders between Salesian VAT centers and all the enterprises. The second chapter is about vocational guidance and orientation guidance services. So a chapter focused in all services between VAT centers, students, and persons. So all the services focused on the people. The third chapter is job insertion and other market-oriented services. So all the services focused on the enterprises, so the external stakeholders relations. The fifth chapter is the quality criteria and standards for the services provided. What we have done, we create and collect all the expertise of our VAT centers in Europe and try to develop a quality criteria as a unique standard. This chapter includes all the digital tools that helps our job service officers in the daily work. But now we go to the strongest answer. Is the job service office a value for a VAT center? We are sure of that because think about the latest 3 years with the COVID and the digitalization. Our world has changed in terms of job market and the training world has changed. So we have to create offices that can manage all the relations and all the revolutions between the centers and the enterprises. A few studies tell us that the 50% of the future works that our children will do in 2030 and 35 doesn't exist today. So even the training doesn't exist. So the challenge for tomorrow is to stay another time more close to the enterprises and all the industrial and commercial relations. Is a value? Yeah. The job service office is a protection and guarantee tool for our students and ex-alumni. Accompanying students into the job market is every year more difficult, and I know that all here knows that. So we have every year new issues, especially digital tools to find a job or to promote the personal branding or the competence of our students, and we need that our students knows very well these, all those tools. So if we have a job service office with one person that manage all the relations, we can create a strong bond with our ex-alumni. Because think about an ex-student that lose jobs after 2 years from the graduation. He will know where is the nearest job service office, and we can find another time job for him or for her. Always with the quality of the Salesian centers, because our strength is our charisma in the relation with the enterprises. Create an European standard approach is very, very important now, because the construction of an office with shared values, shared processes, and parameters, you know, taking care of the differences between every single European nation, can encourage mobility, cooperation, and all the networking, external and even internal of the Salesian, on the Salesian network. Another strength is the VT Center's work balance. How many of us has heard our training colleagues telling, oh no, I cannot handle with the relation, the industrial relation, because I have like 100 hours of lessons per week. So the creation of the job service office can manage professionally all the relation with enterprises, and at the same time give more time to the trainers to train themselves and create new projects for our students in their main job. In some centers where we start up with the office, we have analyzed a strong increase in efficiency and in well-being for the colleagues. So the other great answer is, how can I structure the job service office? The answer is more easier than what we think, what we could think. Because very often these offices already exist in our centers, but they are not codified, they are not formalized, because you know, since the beginnings, we have the strong relation with enterprises. So every center, have that service. But we have to codify it and take a standard to communicate with other centers. So sometimes it is only necessary to map and create and reorganize these services. For every need, today we have another help, that is the handbook we created, is inside the event bag, but is already fully downloadable and freely downloadable from the DB Tech Europe website. It's a strong tool because inside you can find expertise in all the European congregations. You can find best practices, and you can find something very, very interesting, that is the digital toolkit. So we collect every digital toolkit that the centers using in Europe. So you can find something that is possible to improve in your center very easily. Thank you for your attention. Feel free if you want to ask a question, and I want to leave you with the JSO team mantra, that is, the more we share, the more we have. In my region, in Italy, is close to Austria, we have a meaning. I hold you by the nose and you hold me by the hair. So we have to stay close and speak every time to share our values. And we have to continue this way in our Salesian family to increase our services for our instructors and for our guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Piero, for the amazing presentation and also for the last quotation. Now I think it's the time to learn something more about the Salesian Mobility Charter. So please, Tanya, join us. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for being here with us. My name is Tanya Romwaldi. I'm in charge of managing the administrative part and let's say project management for DBI in this specific project. My expertise and my experiences has been carried out in this 10 years, in this last 10 years in the mobility sector, students' mobility sector and teachers' mobility sector. And this is why I approached the topic of a possible European mobility chart to be developed inside our network. Let me share with you some news about, or some information about, how this idea of a European mobility chart has started. It dates back really to 2012, 2013. When we started the process, when we really started the process of creating DB Tech Europe, I mean, we can think of like about an idea of being a network together that started since that date. Because at that time we started to meet as European Salesian project manager, and we started in Rome. And since from the start, the idea of having mobility together, mutual mobility, was an idea that was clear in our mind. So we discovered that one of our core business, or one of our core mission, let's say, about working together was really doing exchange with students and have mobility experiences together. All of us in our network, to a certain extent, have really experienced how powerful and impactful the experience of mobility is on our students. And also maybe those who haven't done before could share our experience, our let's say, words on really this idea was impacted on our students and on teachers as well. This is why we decided to fix or to set up a platform, mobility, a mutual collaboration scheme in order to organize inside our network those mobility experiences for our students. So to find common criteria, common idea, let me just, okay, I'm not very good at using, is it done? Yeah, it's too much. Let me go back a bit, okay. So the idea was to create this model of cooperation among our networks, so to apply the Salesian vision and the Salesian criteria and parameters that we normally use in education also to this kind of mobility experiences. All of us, as I said before, had strong experience in this sector, so it was pretty easy. So what is this European Salesian VAT Mobility Charter? Is a model of cooperation among VAT networks which wants to define quality standards, procedures, and learning outcomes as the main features of mobility. So to allow and to set the basis for mutual mobility experiences inside our network. The idea basically was to also allow those vet centers that were not very experienced in the sector or didn't have much opportunities to approach mobility, to give them expertise, to give them advice as well on how to manage and to start with mobility. Our idea was also to, let's say, start from the international strategy that each vet center or network had and start from there and build up these standards of mobility. What we did in practice from the start was to ask all the partners some questions, like a sort of a survey, on their different way to carry out mobility. So to set up a common ground. Of course, the idea of a chart, I don't know if you have an idea of what a national mobility chart is. Basically is a scheme, a program, a plan that sets mobilities for students and staff along normally a 5-year time. And the idea was also with us to set up a basis on a 5-year plan for mobility experiences with students. Now we know that this European Salesian chart, it's something, let's say, it's really a model, it's a scheme of cooperation, because at the moment we don't have funds for it, and it has been carried out thanks to the funds and to the grants that all the vet center have acquired along this year through their plannings and through their national chart as well. But the idea is that thanks to this mutual collaboration, the increase on mobility experience could be done in the next future. So also the idea of planning mobility flows on the long run in a 5-year time could give also the vet centers the opportunity of find more funds, also let's say make their budget more efficient, so make mobility more cost effective. And so this was the idea that started. Of course, why we wanted to do so, of course, was to provide students and trainers of our platforms, as you saw by the data that Merce showed us, the number of students and the number of teachers that are part of the network is very big. It's extensive, really. So we're talking about like 70,000 students, or more or less that kind of number. So consider how the number of mobility that we in fact require for our students. So the idea of creating a platform, common grounds, common criteria, common standards for carry out mobility was really a need for us. And we did it thanks to a project that we carried out together, which tended to, and I'll show you the file just in a moment, that wanted to summarize what we normally do when we organize mobility. How selections are done, how also practical stuff, practical management is done. Very easily, who is booking hotels or who is booking flights, who carry out evaluation, because evaluation is a big part of mobility. And we will see in the next few minutes with our Hungarian partner how transversal competencies are important in education and how mobility can really help in gathering and in getting these competencies to students. So we decided to set up this criteria thanks to a project to collect our, let's say, our way of behaving, of organizing mobility. Of course, the objective still are, because consider that mobility it's a process, because you're working with students, because you work in education, it's a process that never ends, okay? So, but the objectives that we had when we started the project and that we still have, of course, is to develop a solid network to foster internationalization in that. This is very important to our point of view at least, because also in Italy and in other countries, we saw that not all the VET centers are still internationalized, still have like a European vision that we wanted to give them, thanks also to DB Wave project, to the next networks that we will have, and to mobility, of course. So the idea was to foster internationalization, encourage the staff skills, okay, the update of staff skills. Just as a hint, the COVID period, I don't want to go through it, I mean, to focus on that. But we know for sure that the competence that teacher needed to develop in, like, really, in a blink of an eye, were very far from what they had. So they had to go into digitalization, to go into online lesson, to go start using digital tools that I am a teacher. I work in European projects. I mean, I like information science a lot, but still I didn't have that kind of competencies. And through mobility, through knowing the different approach to teaching, to education, can help teachers to develop those competencies that they might need in the future.
The quality of our training offer, and this is essential for us, both to go to be financed again by the authorities and also to attract students, to promote the concept of vocational training at European level. There is a strong movement, I think, you might agree with me. Putting that first to give that the idea as for students. It's a need that we feel. So mobility and internationalization plan can help with this. Of course, it helps strengthen the European idea of being European and also of our network. There we go. Sorry, it's a bit a mess for me to use the Mac PC. Anyway, we wanted to enhance mobility flows also through the diversification of funds, thanks to the national chart. And we want to share up-to-date information for students, I mean, on the availability of funds, and also the also the enhance of the mobility flows thanks to a good planning. Am I in the right place? I had the feeling that I'm reading this and this doesn't go the same. Okay, so the advantage of course is to, sorry, so fun. Okay, scale up a structured way for standard of mobility, go count on a strong network that can send and host students, have similar quality procedures, while staff flow defined throughout the years, increase in number of mobilities, and of course a wide diversification of funds. This is a scheme that we have also added on our website to show you how the idea of our idea of mobility, of using this mobility chart can be. So if you think about bilateral exchanges like this, if you have a national mobility chart, you have a more, you have different partners to work with. The idea of our European mobility chart is, let's say, a round idea, a circular idea, where the people who send then are hosting and then sending and hosting. So also budget lines and budget, that we have that is available for this experience can be more cost effective. The idea, of course, on how it works is each partner of us has read the project that we wrote, has committed to share this platform, this criteria, and also it has sort of committed to participate in programming mobility each year. Normally we have a meeting each November, and in that time we are committed to plan as much as we can the flows for mobility. This is how we think mobility can grow in the next future, thanks to the application of the chart. So this is what was in 2021-22. Consider that it was still a COVID time. And we think of having, at the end of the next 5 years, much number of mobility, a lot more number of mobility experiences available in a circular way, in a mutual way, where sending and hosting can go on the same track, more or less. Which documents are included and that are part of the chart for us? Of course, is quality commitment. Who's dealing with mobility knows what quality commitment with Erasmus is. It's a document set up by the Commission saying how you have to manage mobility in according to the Commission quality standards. A mobility flowchart that can help us in seeing how the network is moving, is approaching the idea of mobility. Then, of course, learning agreement, because one of our, let's say, core idea is to use the ACVET system to start evaluating and also using the credit system in mobility, which is not that much used, as far as I know, at the moment. ACVET is a strong system. It's, let's say, quite difficult to apply, I must say, because it requires quite a long job and a specific job on competence recognition, but we feel that it's needed in mobility, so using the standard of the mobility chart, the ACVET system will be applied. Memorandum of understanding, clear, it's the cooperation, the cooperation agreement among who's sending and who's receiving students. Okay, a complete project has been, was written. Is there time to show them rapidly the document?
Very, very fast.
Very super fast. Okay, I will do it as soon as I can. Okay. Okay. It's a full project where all the presentation of the chart is done, and this all our let's say schema are included, and where also all the management procedure and how to ensure mobility, the staff, figures that we will let's say deal with mobility, flows on organization, and description of mobility participant who is going to be part of the chart, and so on. Okay, this is the total document that we've created. Okay, I can do it. Right, and also just to move on with the PowerPoint, I show you how. Yeah. Do I need to wait for it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Super. Okay. It's a file where we are. Okay. It's partly completed, but it's a model. It's a working model that completes the programming for all the 5 years in mobility. I know it's pretty technical, so just to show you how the documents are, but just to show how the tools really that we're using to plan mobility. And then I go back to this. Yeah, done. So basically, our document is setting common basic criteria for selecting students, topics of the pre-departure sessions, the ACFET application, documents needed to carry out mobility, monitoring and evaluation documents and procedures as well, steps for communication, timing for mobility planning. Now let's go to data. In this year, just to show you how this chart worked in this year, 1.5 years, because the data dates back from, let's say, January 21 up to now. Consider that for 1 year nobody traveled around, so it's like 1 year that got lost in terms of mobility, of course. But so far there are 30 vet center included and that were involved in the testing of this mobility. Also partners that are not of DB Wave, in fact, but that are part of the, let's say, Salesian network. And here are some numbers. So far there were 327 students that went into mobility program for a number of 8,012 days in mobility, 79 people from staff, like on average days of mobility, which are about 400. It's an average, let's say an average number. And as I said, 30 vet centers involved throughout Europe. Thank you very much. Yes, sorry for this kind of problem in information science, but thank you a lot. Yeah. If you have questions, please, then thank you.
So thank you, Tanya, for the detailed explanation and for having illustrated what a Salesian Mobility Charter is. Now I'd like to finish with the last tool of today. So please, Mate, join us. He will describe the digital tool for assessing the soft skills of vet students that can be applied also to other environments. But thank you.
Okay, greetings everyone. My name is Máté Koblenc, and today I'm the English voice of József Halász, who has been the leader of the working group. So, what is the key competence working group is about? Firstly, to assess the key competencies and the soft skills of students in a work-based environment. Secondly, to help improve the students' key competencies and soft skills. And of course, we think about Salesian vet students. And thirdly, to provide a best practice at national and as well European level. The outcome of this working group is a measurement tool that includes a measurement interface, an admin interface, and I will talk about these later, a final report, and also a user guide for the tool. At first, the working group started with a pilot survey, which was based on Google Forms. The basic concepts behind the assessment form were that the target group are vet students in a work-based environment, that feedback should be done by mentors, the length of the survey and questionnaire should be reasonable in order for the mentors to fill it in, and in order for to the administration to be less, to assess both the key competencies and soft skills of students. There should be 2 assessments, evaluations, a starting evaluation, an initial phase, and an ending evaluation, a final phase. And also, of course, the assessment form should reflect the Salesian attitude. The first step to create the assessment form was to conduct the survey. To help this, the means was a survey to rank the key competencies and soft skills. To that, the source was a report by the World Economic Forum called Future of Jobs, and also the professional experience of the respondents. The target group of this pilot survey was or were the educators and the company representatives. Altogether, we got 79 responses, and also the survey was based on the practices of the Enable and the Reconnaissance projects. The outcome of the survey showed that the most important key competence or soft skill is complex problem solving, followed by teamwork, creativity, and critical thinking. And the least important out of these was negotiation. And what I have mentioned, this is the measurement interface of the tool. This is the main page where the mentor can switch the languages and start filling out the data. It starts with some basic data, like basic data of the students, the date of the training, and a 5-scaled rating of the student from excellent to poor. The first block of the questions are about the instrumental key competencies of the students. For example, organizational, planning, conflict resolution, oral, written, or digital skills. The second block of the questions is about the interpersonal competencies of the students. For example, punctuality, respect for the teachers and also the classmates, respect for the rules, critical capacity, self-criticism, etc. And the third block of questions is about systemic key competencies such as autonomy, innovation, creativity, entrepreneurship, adaptation to change, and these kind of qualities. The admin interface of the tool, where the mentors can log in, looks like this. The mentor should, well, first select a language and then fill out the filters about the students in order to have data of a student. So every filter should be filled out, the company, the name of the tutor, the name of the student, and the training period. On the picture we can see that here only the initial phase is filled out, while if the ending phase is also filled out, that we can compare the results of the students, therefore get the data and compare the initial and final phases. So far, 173 people filled out the tool at least once, mainly from Hungary, Spain, and also from Italy. And 55 people filled out both the initial and final phase. Therefore, they can compare the initial and final data of the students. in the future, how can we utilize the tool? Well, first of all, it can be a quality assurance tool for institutions. In order to have this and to do this, one person should be in charge of the tool per institution, who conducts the surveys, who does the final evaluations, and there can be a yearly outcome evaluation conducted by this person, and with the help of this, students and as well as the institution can develop. So thank you for your attention, and should you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Mate, for presenting us this digital tool, which can be consulted on the website. I'm always repeating it. And that can be used also in other environments or in our institutions, in our own realities. Now, I don't know, I would leave the floor just to Ivan if you want to add something, and then to Marta for logistical information.
Okay, thank you, Angelica. Just to say, as a final moment of this DB Wave meeting, as a program manager of the project, my name is Ivan Toscano and I work for CNOSFAP. So I would just like to add a few words. I would have liked to start speaking about the results we achieved, because I think it's the important part of the work we've done. So just the final greetings and the thanks to all the people who worked for 2 years and a half to this project. Personally speaking, I've worked for the vocational Salesian vocational training since 17 years. It's a lot, and when we also outside Europe, now we have here also the coordinator of the Salesian schools of Don Bosco in Africa. We will leaving the floor to him later on in the next session. But I remember that when going abroad, wherever I went, I was tough. I was aware about the importance of the Salesian model of vocational training. It's not only, we will learn later on, it's not only about finding a word. It's a model, it's an educational model. And I've always been told that this kind of model is successful, not only for finding a job, but to providing our youth, the more marginalized in particular ones, with skills for work and life. That's what I've been said. The problem is that when we go abroad, we are a lot of organizations. It's difficult to coordinate ourselves. There's a lot of Salesians organization and vet centers around the world. I guess that we are present as a Salesian family in 113 countries as a vet provider, with more than 1 million as a final beneficiary. So you may know how difficult it could be coordinating all these people working since, I think, 200 years into the vocational training. And then I always heard about the importance of the model that is not only finding a job, but it's vocational and social holistic integration of the young people. But then the problem is that when we go abroad, can we speak about as a system? Can we speak as a network? I always heard about the formative success of the training model of the Salesian in Europe and abroad. But do we have numbers to show? Can we present ourselves as a system? This was the huge challenge. I remember 3 years and a half when writing the application together with the colleagues we have here. We said, okay, we are well known, but sometimes we could not speak as a voice, not only inside the network, but also outside. So the importance of the work that we've done in these 2 years and a half is not that much for the Salesians organization themselves, but it's to offering our students the possibility to work in, be the addresses of services provided in a more coordinated, more efficient way, is enhancing the opportunity for them. As a CNOSFAP, we are committed in European projects, international projects since the first 2000 years. So it's about 20 years. But the importance of working together in a European network is far from being only the sum of the different national networks. We saw the tracking graduates tools. We saw Tanya presented the mobility charter. We saw that working together, it would be able to enhance the possibilities that each of us already provided to our students alone. So this is the aim of building up the network. We will see how all these tools that we have been presented now could be the backbone of the future Don Bosco Tech Europe. Believe me, this is the core, I think, of a network, of the meaning of working together. It's not just to, building up projects, European projects, and produce tools. It's offering to our students and to the community of the DB Wave. We saw on the numbers of 350 enterprises and market actors in Europe. We saw tens of international organizations who already work with us. So being able to work as a reliable actor inside this network means that, as an example, now we can say that as a European vocational training centers, as a Salesian model, our students in Europe reach the 86% of formative success, which is meaning that they are one year after their qualification, they are either continuing their studying with a higher education or finding a job, a quality job. This is something that means when we go in Europe and present this number, we are talking about 62,000 students in Europe, which is a lot, 196 centers involved. So I guess that in Europe, we are used to meet and work on projects since, I think, 10 years and something more. But the added value of the work we've done in this DB Wave 2 years and a half is that we understood, we perceived how to use this project in the European Commission funds to increase the opportunity for our students. And that's why I would really like to thank all the partners who probably worked twice, 3 times compared with a normal project. So thank you so much, because they took the chance of this project to grow up as a national network and to really find out concrete way to working together in Europe and to provide to our students more important, more relevant and more efficient opportunities to not only, as I said, find a job, but to realize their social and professional development careers. So again, thank you so much. A special thanks. Let me grab just 2 seconds to Angelica and to all the CNOSFAP teams who spent 2 years and a half 100% committed on this project. So thank you so much. But also we will be learning in the next session how the work we've done is not just the finish, the end up of a 3 years project, but can be, as I said, the beginning of a new phase working together in the Don Bosco Tech Europe in a more efficient way, and to providing, as I said, to our students the best opportunities that we can work in together. So thank you so much, and really a special thanks to all the partners and people who worked for 2 years and a half on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan, as well to you and for all your hard work as part of the CNOSFAP team, because I think that this project wouldn't have been possible or wouldn't have been the same without you involved in it since the very beginning of it. Well, now it's time for our coffee break. We will have a 30 minutes coffee break. So now it's almost 11, so if we can be back here at 11:30. The coffee break is downstairs. It's next to reception. So you need to go back down the stairs, the same stairs you came up, and just before getting to reception, you turn to the right and you will find the coffee break area. And also very close, there are some toilets in case you need to use them. You need to go to reception and go to the ground floor and you'll find them on the right as well. If you need anything, Marta Iglesias and myself will be there, and Luisa as well, our receptionist, will be there to guide you. So thank you all very much and see you in 30 minutes.